This is a study from Profound. They looked at 10 million citations in Google's AI overviews. Reddit was the #1 cited website. YouTube was #2. Here's why this is crazy. This is Google's AI overviews. Google owns YouTube. Google does not own Reddit. And yet 1 out of 5 citations, 1 out of 5
That's
citations.
crazy. I guess it's like, I never want to hurt somebody, right, by being like truthful. But in the same way, sometimes you can hurt people by not being truthful with them.
No, AI has changed everything. Here's my note to especially young entrepreneurs. Scale is bad. Scale is bad. If it scales, AI can do it.
Are you ready to feel like it's Friday every day? I'm Mark Labriola II, and this is The Friday Habit. We interview experts to learn how to bring excitement, possibility, and sweet, sweet relief into every single day, no matter what day it is. If you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, or agency leader, get ready to grow your business, lead with purpose, and build a life you love. Welcome to The Friday Habit.
Back on another Friday. Today is actually Friday. You know, we record these episodes usually on a Thursday, but today we have the pleasure of having the awesome Kasim on the Friday Habit. This guy's an entrepreneur, an agency builder, and talent spotter with a track record of turning small teams into global powerhouses. Why should we listen to this guy? Well, he grew his digital marketing agency to multiple 7 figures, exited for 8, and now helps businesses hire top-tier talent from around the world. So if you've ever wondered how to find the right people, avoid bad hires, and scale without burning out, well, this is the conversation for you. Kasim, welcome to the Friday Habit.
Mark, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Yes, all right, man. Well, I did a little research, this week on you to kind of learn more, but, I really want to get to know you a little bit. So I would say this, the question I'd ask you is, what is your go-to comfort food after a brutal day of work?
Well, I like Oreos. I like milk and Oreos.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Double stuff or single stuff?
I can do, but if I'm willing to commit suicide because I pay for it for the next 72 hours, yeah.
Okay. What are we saying? Double or single stuffed?
Oh, single stuff. Double stuff is a travesty. Like, I don't understand who was allowed to pass
the ratio's off. I agree with you. I agree with you.
No,
it's like too much cream ratio to cookie.
Yeah, and then they like holidays come around and they change the color and they try to like mint it and, and I'm just like, leave it alone.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And you gotta love an Oreo when you dip it in the milk, and it kind of dissolves a little bit, and it's just that.
No, I have the perfect amount. So I have a whole standard operating procedure for my Oreo game. Yeah, I'll take the Oreo out. I hold it between my thumb and my index finger at the very end, and then I put it all the way into the milk so it's fully submerged.
Okay.
And what you do, Mark, is if you apply a little bit of pressure in the squeeze, you hold it in the milk long enough for the Oreo. It'll do this thing. It's almost like chopsticks coming apart.
Oh, it snaps open.
It snaps open, and that's when it's been fully submerged long enough, and then you pull it out. But if you wait too long, the
cookie drops.
The cookie drops, right?
Okay,
so pull it out before the cookie drops, and then, dude, I'm telling you right now, that's the perfect Oreo.
All right, I'm gonna use that technique next time I have a guilty indulgence of some Oreos. Yeah. Wait for the snap, ladies and gentlemen. It's like a good sausage, It's got to snap. I think we just came up with a new commercial idea, for Oreo. So, if anyone's listening from Nabisco, we want some royalties over here.
Copyright, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, if you had to run your business from any city in the world for the next year, where would you set up shop?
The answer used to be Barcelona. Okay. Barcelona was one of my favorite cities in the whole wide world. The Catalonians have gotten like a little weird, though. I mean, to the point of near terrorism. So
really, okay, that's scary.
They've got to have their reasons. I don't understand the geopolitical situation, but they don't want people there. So like they've gone off and they let tourists know that. I really love Nesso, which is a little city right above Como, on Lake Como in Italy.
Okay. Nice.
If I could only if I could only touch one country for the rest of my life, it'd be Italy. I think Italy.
Really?
Yeah. So it's amazing, dude. It's so diverse, topographically, geographically, culturally, food, music, whatever. There's such a big difference between Milan, between Venice, Florence, Rome. It has everything. It has coast, it has islands, it has mountains, it has snow, it has water, it has lakes, it has rivers, it has creeks, it has oceans, and it has history. It has, I think
thousands of years,
dude. Yeah. So, if you want city and fun and parties, Italy. If you want hiking and nature, Italy. If you want fresh food, clean water, I just think Italy's perfect, and it's cheap. It's
affordable. I'm Italian, my family came from there in the 1930s on a boat to Ellis Isle to New York. So,
do you know where they came from? Have you tracked them back?
Yeah, there's this little town called Campagnola or something like that. And there's actually a little town. My last name's Labriola. It's like Labriola Square. My dad went back there a few years ago and found the people and oh yeah, Labriola, and there's all these tombstones with Labriola on it. So
how cool is that? Yeah. Dude, I think the Italians did it. I think they just, on every level of analysis.
If Rome could have just kept their freaking, politics together, they'd still be ruling the world.
Yeah, they fell to Germanic tribes. They just, you never saw that one coming. But you're right. That was the peak of human civilization, and then it's all been downhill from there.
All right. What about your first big purchase? After you made a little bit of money in the business, what was the thing that you're
dude? So I sell for 8 figures, and all my friends went and bought a beach house or a Lamborghini. Yeah. I bought a 1987 Honda Prelude.
Ah, the Prelude.
Yeah, that was my car when I was a kid. Now I bought it at auction. I bought it on Bring a Trailer.
Okay.
It had very
was
low
it
miles.
Tricked out and stuff like that?
No. That's the thing. It's bone stock. That's what you want. Yeah, don't mess with the Prelude.
Okay.
It's just like the Oreo, Mark. It's don't mess.
Yeah, no, don't mess with perfection.
Yeah, the year I really want. I want a 1986 cherry red black interior Prelude SI.
Okay.
Manual, of course.
Right.
But the 86, the last one on Bring a Trailer sold for $90,000.
Oh, geez, really?
I know. So there's a little cult following for this car. So I got my hooks into an 87. I paid $14,000 for it. I was bidding on the 86, and we got up to 50.
Okay.
And I was finally dude, I just cannot justify. You know what I mean?
There's all right, there's a limit to my insanity here.
Yeah. Whoever wants this car clearly really wants the damn thing. So it had 3,000 miles on it, though.
Wow.
Yeah,
it was stuck in some grandma's garage.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, some dude bought it, and I think he was diagnosed with cancer. It's a sad story. And so he loved the car, cared for it dearly. After he died, his kids couldn't bring themselves to sell it, and so they just kept it garaged forever. And then I think the kids ended up kind of aging out, and it was the grandkids who were like, we don't care.
Who cares about this Prelude?
Who cares about grandpa? So yeah.
Oh man, that's sad. But it's funny how you do have those attachments to certain types of cars. I remember for me, in high school, I really wanted a Acura Integra. Oh yeah. And so it's the same thing.
I'm older than you. That's the same class of human.
No,
if you were
dude,
10 years...
I'm older than you. I could probably be your dad, dude.
How old are you?
I'm 44.
Oh, I'm 40. Okay.
Okay, see? Look at that.
When you said Integra, though, that's a Young Bucks car. What are you talking about?
Well, it was 98, and my good friend had this sick Acura Integra, and I was like, oh, man, if I could only have an Integra.
The Integra is the Prelude. Those are cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friends used to strip out the interiors of those entirely. They would just box them out. That and the Honda CRX. Remember the CRX?
Oh, yeah. That's sick. Now I'm more of an off-road guy. I love. I have a Lexus LX 570, and so I live in Colorado, and so we got the mountains close by, and me and my kids can hit the hills and go camping, and it's awesome. So
good for you, dude. I don't have the heart or spine or balls. You pick which one. Off-roading scares me,
so it is a little scary, but it's fun. It's definitely exhilarating. You definitely have a adrenaline rush, especially, and it's funny, you're going 5 miles an hour, but you're trying to pick your lines, and there's sharp rocks coming out of the ground. You're like, dang, if I pop a tire in the middle of nowhere here, I'm screwed.
Dude.
And
a buddy took me, and we were horizontal to the ground. You know what I mean? I was just what? Yeah. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, that's extreme. I love an easy to medium trail. We went to Moab a couple years ago. Have you been to Moab before?
No.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's like in Utah, and they have like these arches, just amazing landscapes. But they had this like Gemini Pass, and it was pretty intense. You know, my wife was like white knuckling the,
Yeah, I'm looking
the
at pictures.
passenger.
Moab is stunning. Wow.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. Where do you live?
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay, Scottsdale.
Got Scottsdale. I'm moving though. I'm buying a homestead. I want a farm.
Ah, dude, that's great. Get some chickens, all the protein you can eat.
Yeah, chickens, the cow, maybe some horses.
Some goats. Are you going to stay in Arizona? I mean, it's so hot there.
Well, that's part of the problem. I want.
You go to Flagstaff, get up in the mountains, get a couple
we'll go
acres.
to Sedona. I looked at Sedona. We were going to buy a place in Sedona. The problem is it's the same problem with Barcelona. It's a freaking tourist, dude.
Yeah.
Like it gets obscene. You can't.
Yeah, you want to
go
have
the
some
grocery
privacy,
store.
like just to be able to, get out there and.
No, I want
whatever.
I want like 100 acres. I want like a big.
Yeah, you can shoot
land.
guns and not worry you're gonna hit anything.
Dude, I was at my buddy's house. I don't know if he wants. I was at my buddy Dre. He's got like a, I don't know what to call it, like a man cave in Austin in Dripping Springs. And we're in his garage, and he's showing me all his toys, and he hands me one, and he goes, and he just points. I'm like, what are you pointing? And he has a shooting range set up right outside his garage. I didn't even notice it. I was like,
That's awesome.
this is insane. And he's like, this is Austin. And I was like, all right. And so, you're just right outside. We're just plinking.
Just shoot in that direction.
but
We'll be good.
He's got 5 or 6 acres, and he's got like enough of a, I don't know what to call it. It's not even a hill, but it's just enough of a backdrop to shoot into, and it's not that big a deal. But I want like an ATV route, and yeah.
That'd be sick.
That's the dream.
Well, all these billionaires, they're building their underground bunkers and stuff like that.
Isn't it scary? All the like Peter Thiel went to New Zealand, Zuckerberg's in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like they're going to islands because they clearly know something we don't.
Right, I know. That's what I'm always curious about. I'm like, all right, so you have enough money to know everything. Right. So
it's not like Bill Gates obsessed with engineering food. And everybody's like, oh, he's evil and he's trying to control the world. And I'm like, maybe. And what he knows something we don't know.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he's like making sure he has enough farmland and has all this engineered food so that he can take care of himself.
1% of the farmland in the United States.
It's just wild.
Yeah. I nobody quote me on that because is it true? Is it true that Bill Gates?
I mean, he's like one of the largest landowners, I think.
Yeah.
Like farmland.
Yeah. No, it's 1%, I guess, the available, but he's the largest private farmland owner in the United States.
Exactly. See?
Approximately 242,000 acres.
Dang, of farmland. So it's like specific.
It's less than 0.3%, not 1%. So whoever quoted the 1% thing, maybe it was 1%.
He's in the 1%, right?
He's definitely in the, dude, it's not even a percent. Yeah. Yeah. What a nut that guy is.
All right, last get to know you question. What's the worst job you ever had before becoming an entrepreneur?
Oh, I've had so many. I worked at McDonald's.
Oh
God, I worked at Cliffs Amusement Park.
Coming home smelling like fries every day.
Yeah. Actually, no. You know what? I have an answer. I worked at a company called Zentel. I bet you they're still around. Zentel. This is horrible. They're a call center where we called people raising money for burn victim units, fallen police officers, fallen firefighters, families of fallen soldiers. And if you ever asked how much money actually goes to these people, we had to break out this very, very, very specific script. And then you could call this 800 number that would give you the details. And I was a kid, dude. I was like 16, 17 years old.
Nice.
So it just didn't occur to me at first that there was anything wrong with what we were doing, but they started to give us really, so for instance, they'd say, at the time, my post 9/11 name was David, because Kasim was not.
Kasim was like, all right, lock the doors.
Yeah, that's right. I was on a watch list. So, but when you'd call, you'd have to do certain things for, like, I guess FCC rules or whatever, but they'd say, they'd teach us how to do things. For instance, when I'd call, they'd want me to say, hi, this is David with Zentel. I have to identify myself as having to say with Zentel. But they trained us to say with Zentel. And they were trying to pretend like Wizentel was the last name. So you're like, hi, this is David Wizentel. And they would like have us put on like mild Southern accents.
It's so sketchy.
Just so many like just plainly fraudulent things. So when I finally called the 1-800 number, it turns out that like 95% of the money was swallowed up by this horribly fraudulent company, and then 5% goes to the children of the burn victim unit or to the police officers. I don't know why this was allowed. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, like what's the loophole that allows that to
How
take
did
place?
that happen? Yeah, so I was basically like defrauding firefighters, fallen firefighters' children, and like taking 95% of the money.
Yeah, and then how does someone? Hi, this is Kasim.
Dude,
do you want to help
I just
burn
Googled it. They're
victims?
still
Do you
here.
want to help the fallen firefighters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is David Wizentel, and we're calling you on behalf of the Firefighters Association. And then they had all these scripts. If somebody said, like, well, how much money goes to the firefighters? We were taught to say, well, hopefully all of it, but we got to keep our lights on too. But if they pressed, you gave them a 1-800 number. And then I finally ended up, I got just curious, and I called, and it was like 95% of the money.
That's wild.
Well, in excess of 90% for sure. It depended on the fund that we were raising for. But God, that was a horrible, soul-sucking job. And I'm sad to say I was so good at it, dude.
Dude, I worked I was the same age, like 17, 18. I worked at this call center and back then it was called MCI WorldCom.
Dude, I worked at MCI. Select 2000. Are you kidding me? 7 cents a minute? Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You know exactly then.
Oh, funny.
But it was like, you're in this bullpen with like, people listening in
like
on your
coffee.
calls and
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. So it was like, and you're just grinding because, I did really well. Like I was able to just talk to people easy and hey, well, how much are you currently spending on your long distance service,
right.
and get these grannies to sign up. And, so as
bro,
like
all old people. And
yeah,
they would just sit there and just chew your ear off about the old days. And they were all on AT&T.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were like loyal for reasons that I still don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know, that's so funny.
MCI, that's crazy,
dude. They got bought by Sprint, and then I think it was like
merged with T-Mobile. No, they were acquired by Verizon.
Verizon, that's what it was. Yeah, I know. So, but that listen, as a 18-year-old, 17-year-old, like I crushed. Like when I was getting these $1,500 paychecks and stuff, I was like balling.
Yeah, I remember I took my mom. My very first paycheck, I took my mom to the mall. And in Albuquerque, the mall was like, that was the place. I took her and I got her a mani-pedi and I got her, I don't know what, we went on like a little shopping spree.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even remember what I made. It was like $700. But
still
for me,
at that age,
it was just like,
and gas is only like, $5 for a tank.
Oh, $10. You carry like, you got a pack of cigarettes, half a tank of gas, you got to eat.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in New Mexico then?
Oh, in the armpit of America. Have you been to Albuquerque?
Yeah, I've been. We did a road trip a few years ago, and we went down to Santa Fe, and then we went to Albuquerque, and there's this place there called the Blue Hole where we could it was like this outdoor natural spring. I guess it's like one of the deepest springs in North America, and people scuba dive and stuff down in there, and you get your certifications, and it's awesome.
Never even heard of it.
Dude, you're missing out.
It looks super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Albuquerque might. So, have you seen Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
That's a documentary about Albuquerque.
Is that just it? Like, meth labs and...
Yeah, meth and green chili. Like, good meth, good green chili.
Great green chili.
Yeah, but Albuquerque's a shithole, dude.
It's definitely got a vibe,
Keep your windows up. Yeah, just do not go. If you're in Albuquerque now, I'm not even going to apologize to you. I'm just going to say, like, I hope you survive and I hope you get out.
How did your family get there? Where's your heritage from?
My father's Pakistani. So he came from Pakistan at 19 years old and went to the University of Albuquerque, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And then my mom's white with the WH, like hardcore Southern military. South should have won the Civil War. We're related to Thomas Jefferson. Very racist.
Dude. It's so funny because my wife is half Iranian. Her dad's from Iran. Yeah. He came over here in the 70s for college, and then when the Shah got overthrown, his dad was like, he's like, stay in America, don't come back to Iran. And then he met a white, actually her last name was Lori White at a disco in the 70s. Way. Yeah, they got married, had 4 kids.
Bennigan's, that's funny.
But they're related to Abraham Lincoln.
No way. Yeah. I'm the only Pakistani related to Thomas Jefferson. Yeah. My mom's side of the family, half of them. My Aunt Martha, this is a true story too. I swear to God, she had separate plates for us, just for me and my brother. So all the other kids ate off of real dishware. Like real, actual, and then she had these, they were like Ninja Turtle, Walmart, You put them in the microwave and they bubble.
Yeah. They're just chemicals and like.
Yeah, just openly racist, dude. Just like did not even pretend. She's like, look how fun these are, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe you'll get cancer.
Yeah, I swear to God. Yeah, just an interesting group of humans they were.
Oh man, that's so funny, dude. That's awesome though. Do you like Pakistani food?
I do, dude. I've never been to Pakistan, so I couldn't. I've been to Indo-Pak restaurants in the States.
Yeah,
and I love it. It tears my tummy up. Yeah. But
I'd love to go to Iran someday, but yeah, obviously it's not a really open place for you to easily get into and go to.
The Persians have had, just such a rough go of it, and so much of it is our fault. Like the U.S. just fucked that country all the way up.
Well, yeah, I mean, even having exactly. I mean, that's the sad part is that if you kind of really start digging, the U.S. has kind of
oops, yeah. All of Latin America, dude, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It's completely declassified.
Right.
Like we went in and just dismantled the country of Argentina because we didn't want an economic trading competitor. And then we're just sorry, but not sorry. Also,
the Banana Republic thing too. Like, I don't know if you know about that whole.
Wait, no, what republic?
The Banana Republic. How there was the banana trading thing, and they're like, hey, we don't want any competition, and it's you completely destroy a country over bananas.
Bro, just the petrodollar. The fact that and this is still just something that we do. Like, you have to, as an emerging nation, buy oil in the US dollar, the most important economic driver and commodity in existence, has to be purchased in a currency that you as a country have no control over.
Right.
It's this weird suppression of other. Bro, I'm actually, believe it or not, I don't sound like it. I'm what I would term as a patriot, but I think dissent is the highest form of patriotism. I love this country, and some of the shit we do is
I know.
wild.
No, I agree. I'm in the same boat. I'm I love America. I think it's a great country. I love capitalism. I love, I came from nothing and was able to work my way up and be successful. Yeah. But it's there is some stuff when you start. I'm it's kind of sketchy.
Bro, when you start
but in some ways, it's then that's the one thing that gets me a lot of times too about all sorts of stuff. It's how far back do we go? Of colonization or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's wars and all this stuff, it's kind of part of the world, it's kind of part of humanity. It's there's bad and then there's good, and hopefully we can try to do more good than bad, and I don't know.
It's kind of a survival of the fittest thing, dude. It's we won, we made the rules. The thing that I would like though is I'd like us to pretend or I'd like us to stop pretending like that's not the way it is.
Right. Yeah. It's hey, this is what we have to do.
Right. I mean, it's look, king on the throne with the scepter, smacking the shit out of people trying to come up.
Right.
All right. If it's manifest destiny and we're just all going to take because we're the biggest and the strongest. Okay. But at least allow the people that were suppressing the moral superiority of being able to assume the role of victim. Because the strange, we're not doing that narrative that we're playing. That's there's just something about that's a little finicky for me. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. So, well, hey, I'd love to hear your journey into entrepreneurship. So it's you kind of started off working all these jobs, doing stuff that sucks. And then did you end up going to college and learning?
I got a 10th grade education. I'm a welfare baby. So I was raised by a blind single mother on Social Security disability in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I referenced my dad. My dad's not a bad guy, but wasn't a great dad. He liked partying and women a lot more than he liked being a dad. So mom was she was a nurse. She went blind over time. She was prematurely born blind in her right eye, visual field closed in her left eye. My parents were already divorced when my mom went blind. So parents divorced at 7, mom go blind at 12. This is all very depressing.
But it's all part of the story.
Part of the story. Me and my little brother grew up in Albuquerque. Both of us wanted to be thugs. I was not good at that. He was. he spent 6 years on a 4-yard, so full-on convict. He's the only non-white person to ever hold the keys to the house of an Aryan Brotherhood controlled yard. He's hardcore, real deal, no bullshit.
Wow.
I was a massive phony. I was faking it the whole time and the whole way. I was not built for that. And at around 19 years old, I got into a whole boatload of trouble. I was trying to steal cars and, petty theft. And I just ended up sort of playing with people that I didn't belong with or wasn't, equipped to operate within the confines of that type of ecosystem.
Well, listen, I tell my kids all the time, I say, hey, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Bro.
You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's exactly. So I was an example of that, but on the wrong. I was the before picture. Yeah. And so I ended up moving out to Scottsdale. My dad lived in Scottsdale. He owned a rug store, and I moved out to work with him. Didn't know him very well. Had an okay relationship. He was just this guy I could call for money. And I was like, hey, Pop, I need some money. And so I moved out to Scottsdale, and everything flipped for me. I got to reinvent myself.
That's
changed
cool.
The way I spoke, dressed, acted. Have always been an entrepreneur. When I was 7 years old, I used to, on the way to school, I'd stop at this little ghetto gas station called Lone Star. And Lone Star had this cut barrel that you use a grab bag of candy. You could buy candy for like 5 or 10 cents. And then I'd buy the candy for 10 cents at Lone Star, and I'd sell it for 25 cents at school. And my ideas have not gotten any better, Mark. Like, that is more how I've been, you know what I mean? Like, I've just, that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, and I haven't gotten much smarter, but I just stuck with it, and like most poor kids, I'm sure you're the same way, I can grind. Mm-hmm. That's the thing about poor kids is
yes.
you just
well, for me, it's always been like, dude,
years.
I've experienced, like, everything is better than where I came from. Right. And so it's like I remember my first corporate job, it's like I'd get in the elevator on a Monday and I'd be so happy and excited, like, oh man, like we only have to work 5 days a week. We get off at 5 and there's like paid holidays. I'm like, this is amazing. Everyone's all depressed and angry. And I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, why are you so happy? I'm like, dude, because it could be way worse.
Oh, dude, I've worked at MCI. I've worked at McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
I swear to God, I've sold baskets on the side of the road at Navajo reservations. You want to talk about like the most depressing thing you could do?
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone to flea markets and tried to like peddle my wares. Like, yeah, dude, I just started out as a hustler, and somewhere along the way, stuff kind of started to click. You kind of start to make a little money, and you kind of start to figure out, like, if I don't lie about things, life goes a lot. I was a pathological liar until my early 20s. It just, to me, was the way that the world functioned. It was so expedient and so easy, and Abraham Lincoln, speaking of your wife's ancestor, has a quote. He says, nobody has a good enough memory to be a good liar. And at a certain point, it wasn't even a moral decision, dude. It was so hard because I had like groups of friends that could never meet each other. You know what I mean? Because I told to them I would like this lie, and to that it was that lie. And it's like, so A can't meet B, can meet C, but as long as D's not there,
it's too much work.
It was too much work, and so I just hit this point, dude, where I was like, I became brutal with the truth. Just as a matter of self-preservation. And interestingly, my life got a lot better after that.
The truth shall set you free.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson says that. He says that when you tell the truth, whatever happens afterwards is the ideal outcome. And if you believe that, and I do, like, if you tell the truth and it gets you killed, that's the ideal outcome. The truth, I think, is the most important. It's the most important philosophical, religious, and political construct. The truth is it's the thing that we should guard with our minds, our bodies, and our souls. Like the truth. And now there's some sophistication with the truth, right? Like I have an 8 and a 10-year-old, and I haven't talked to them about exactly what sex is yet.
Right.
But they know babies come from mommy's tummy, right? So like the truth that's accessible to them. You don't tell your wife that she looks fat in the dress. So there's some sophistication and degrees to the truth.
And it's like having, like, when knowing when to, I don't know. I guess it's like I never want to hurt somebody, right, by being like truthful. But in the same way, sometimes you can hurt people by not being truthful with them. I worked with this guy once, and he smelled terrible. Like, he always just smelled bad, and everyone would talk about him like, "Oh, dude, did you smell? What's his name today?" And it's like, "Oh man." And then at one point, I was like, "You know what? Like,
you should tell him."
The guy doesn't know, And so I just pulled him aside privately, and I said, "Hey, man, you kind of smell."
Yeah.
And everyone talks about it and whatever. And he was like, what? And then from then on, he like started wearing deodorant and like some cologne or whatever. And like no one ever complained, but it was like appropriate for me to be like kind of harsh with him but truthful,
Well, dude, think about the impact you had on that guy's life.
I'll find out someday.
Like really, it's like you kind of changed the trajectory of his social, station.
Yeah, I agree with you. Truth, at the end of the day, like you said, like Jordan Peterson said, that whatever outcome comes from telling the truth is the desired outcome.
That's what should happen, yeah.
Oh. Well, so what kind of agency did you have? A marketing agency?
I've had 6. So
okay.
I've had more than that. I've had 6 agencies that have exceeded 7 figures in revenue, humble brag. But my claim to fame, I built the #1 ranked Google Ads agency in the world.
Okay.
So if you search for a Google Ads agency anywhere in the English-speaking world, we were the very first agency to show up. I was the largest dedicated Google Ads agency at the time of our sale, according to my M&A advisor. Not that anybody keeps track of that shit, but we had 200 clients, $100 million in ad spend. We got pretty big for an agency.
That's cool. So did you your first agency then, were most of your agencies all in digital advertising, like SEO, things like that?
Yeah. I had GeoFlip. It was a real estate investment specifically. We did motivated seller leads. I had that for 7 years. I sold that in 2019. I have Needle Marketing now, which is a Montessori agency. We do marketing and advertising for Montessori schools.
Okay. So it sounds like you've kind of niched in a lot of your, and you hear the riches are in the niches. And so,
So I actually, let me rephrase. I think that niching is the most important thing you can do in your business. But it's horrible advice to give to a young entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I always tell people is like, dude, just say yes. Like, just go out there and grind. Yes. Like, take whatever work you can, say yes. Even if you don't know how to do something, figure it out.
Yes
but just say yes.
So, I call it the hourglass of niching. Should you niche down? Yes, absolutely. Over time. So the hourglass, think about the way an hourglass works.
Yeah.
At the very top, it's as broad as it can get, right? And you're going to start broad, knowing it's a bad idea. You're going to say yes to every client, every service, every industry, every geography, just yes. And then you start to kind of figure things out. And as you figure things out, you narrow. And you start saying like, I'm not going to work with that industry because it's too hard. I'm not going to do that service because it's too margin thin. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've kind of figured something out. And that's the center of the hourglass. That's when you're the most efficient. And what's most interesting and kind of counterintuitive is once you hit the center of the hourglass, you can branch back out. And your profitability increases. So to give you an example, when I started my business, it was called Solutions 8 because we had 8 core service offerings because I'm an idiot, which means we were doing SEO and PPC and content and, you know what I mean? Like I was just like yes to everything. Yes. And I started to realize like, God, I cannot, like video production was so expensive and top heavy. And so I just stopped doing it. And I niched down and then content creation was too, labor intensive and too much iteration. And so I stopped doing it. And slowly but surely I started to notice like, okay, traffic, I'm pretty good at traffic, and not just traffic, but paid traffic, and not just paid traffic, but Google Ads. And now that's a hell of a niche, is Google Ads. Now, what's interesting is from there, if I want to branch back out, I used to do web design. I cut it out because it was too difficult, right? It was too broad, too vague.
Yeah. Too much customer input and, yeah.
So cut out Google Ads, cut out website design from a broad perspective. But as a Google Ads agency, if I offer website design, that's specific. Because now I know the type of website I'm building is for a Google Ads customer. It's conversion focused. I know it's going to be informed by the ad copy that we know works, the key phrases we know work, the customer that's coming in. So website design at the top of the hourglass is a horrible product that is margin thin and takes too long. And like you said, customer input is too high. But website design at the bottom of the hourglass, now I get to come in and say, hey, if you want to be successful with Google Ads, here's the best website for Google Ads. And that becomes true for every service that I offer comes through the paradigm of this Google Ads agency. So now I can branch back out and I can offer SEO through the lens of Google Ads, because SEO and Google Ads play so symbiotically well together. Content creation through the lens of a Google Ads agency. So that's the hourglass of niching, is you start broad with the understanding that it's a horrible idea, but you have to do it. You have to kiss the frogs. You can't walk out into your backyard and be like, I'm going to drill for oil here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you just got to kind of start digging holes and figuring shit out. And then you niche down. But don't stop, because that's the danger, is when you niche all the way down, you end up in this position where your entire business is heavily dependent on one service or one industry. So now branch back out, because it allows for some diversification of risk, increase in profitability, and then you get to really experience the power and the benefit and the profitability of niching.
What do you think the real tipping point was then for all your businesses that made that scale possible?
Traffic.
Like
Dude, so here's what people don't understand. Traffic is the most expensive part of any business.
Yeah.
If you look at all the most valuable businesses in the world, they're all traffic businesses. Google, traffic business. Meta, traffic business. Amazon, traffic business, meaning they drive traffic. If you solve for traffic, you have nothing else to do ever. Traffic is I mentioned I was in Como, Italy recently, and we're in Como and we're by this big, beautiful church that if you're in Como, you have to go to this church. I don't know why. It's pretty, and it's just what happens. You end up at this church. Here's what's really interesting is if you look at the church as a target on the center of a map, let's say, as you branch out from that church, you get further and further away along, right? The target. So you're kind of like, there's concentric circles that are radiating out. At the center of the target, at the church, all of the restaurants and coffee shops and gelato spots suck. The ratings are horrible, and the line is out the door. And then as you branch and you get further away from the church, the ratings go up and the wait time goes down. And then if you get too far away from the church, you have amazing restaurants, but they have nobody coming. Why? Traffic. There's 1 trillion people at the church. You walk outside, throw a rock, you hit a gelato stop, and it's not good, but they don't have to be good because they have the traffic.
Right.
Traffic, from an e-commerce perspective, traffic costs you more than your cost of goods and your shipping and your fulfillment and your OpEx, sometimes combined. So if you can solve for traffic, and traffic usually looks like a problem. It looks like people complaining, questions, FAQs, how do I, when do I, where do I, that type of thing. So solving for traffic is the most important part of all business. If you can crack the code on traffic, my new buy box for building businesses, I have a portfolio of 17 businesses. That's why you don't give poor people money, because we think we're investors. And my buy box is, I will not get into a business if I don't know where the traffic is coming from. And I won't be dependent upon somebody else's traffic. I'm not going to buy traffic from Google because that can go away any day, and I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So, dude, if you solve for traffic, business is easy.
So then getting into digital advertising, was it something where it's like it just clicked for you, or you kind of saw?
No, dude, I just suck at everything else. I've had 100 failed businesses. That's a literal number. I went back and counted. I've done medical transcription, legal transcription. I've done software engineering. I've had a furniture store. I've had a rug store. I've sold purified mercury. I've tried everything, Mark. And this is actually true, I think, of all. If you look at all agency owners, they're all just failed entrepreneurs. Yeah. All agency owners have tried a bunch of other businesses, but the figuring out the digital infrastructure becomes this thing that they had to figure out each time their business failed. And they're like, well, gosh, I'm sort of good at that. And so, dude, the agency was just what was left over after my.
Like, well, in order to promote these 100 businesses, I had to really learn Google Ads.
Learn marketing. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
So, as far as kind of the systems and the people you put in place, what were the first systems or hires that you had that really allowed you to step out of your day-to-day, of operations?
Dude, I think the most important person for any entrepreneur to hire is an EA. That's why I started Pareto Talent. That you are the least scalable part of your business. Yeah. It's you. You are the bottleneck. You are the rate limiting step. You are holding everything back. And what's cool about an EA is the only role you're allowed to hire for that doesn't have a job description. If you go hire for anything else without a job description, you're kind of being an asshole. An EA, you're telling somebody, you're managing expectations. You're like, hey, there's an unreasonable expectation that you're just going to do whatever it is I send you. And if you're smart, what you do is you give somebody 10 things to do, right? 10 different tasks. They're going to suck at 2. They just are. It's just life. It's humanity. They're going to do 6 just fine. They're going to check the box. Well done. Job's done. They're going to do 2 better than any human you've ever encountered in your entire life. Now, here's what entrepreneurs are taught to do. I don't know why. They're taught to focus on the 2 things they suck at. And say, we're going to get you there, kid, and we're going to do a performance improvement program, and I'm going to pay for training, and I'm going to coach you, and whatever. Stop that. Just never ask them to do those 2 things again. Take the 2 things that they're best at, and congratulations, that's their new role. My first EA became a director of automations. My second EA became a director of social. My third EA became my CTO. I managed my entire 8-figure exit, and is now my best friend and my business partner. It's an incubator role.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've tried people in the Philippines, people in Brazil for editors, people in South America. Like, I've had such terrible success with especially creatives. I think that's one, as a creative agency, our main focus is, podcast production and video content. And I've tried, because especially in America, it's expensive to hire animators and stuff. And I've tried, and it's just not there, And then I found some agencies in India that were pretty decent with motion graphics and animations, but then they were almost the same cost as
they are here.
as out here, and I'm like, well, I might as well just hire a freelancer that's not on the same time zone than somebody who's 24 hours, ahead.
Yeah. Can I crack the code for you?
Kasim, I'd love if you cracked the code for me, man.
So number one, all this is free. There's no ascension. I swear to you, I'll put it in writing. There's no course. There's no mastermind. There's no offer on the back end of this. If you go to hirethebook.com, I'm going to give you my life's work. Or excuse me, no, it's thehirebook.com, thehirebook.com. Do you like how bad I am at marketing my own shit? This is my life's work. This is 20 years worth of me putting together everything that it takes to find top talent. Here's step number one, and you're going to hate it, and everybody's going to hate it, and they're all going to be repelled by it. You have to pay a multiple of what other people are paying. But I'm gonna excuse this for a moment, okay? With math, you're familiar with the Pareto distribution?
Yeah.
So Italian mathematician who identified that 20% of the input is responsible for 80% of the output. Yep. And it's true in every organic ecosystem. 20% of your clients make up 80% of your revenue. 20% of the criminals commit 80% of the crimes. 20% of the cows yield 80% of the milk. I don't know why. And that's just the way that life works. It's the way that economies work. Here's what's crazy though, is it's fractal. And I didn't know what that word meant. Somebody on a podcast taught me when I was trying to explain this concept. If you have 1,000 employees, 200 of those employees produce 80% of the output. Right. And you're like, all right, I've seen that. I worked at MCI. I know that 200 of the call center reps on a 1,000 rep floor did 800 of the sales, right? 80% of the sales. But zoom in on those 200. Out of 1,000 employees, 200 do 80% of the work. But zoom in on the 200, okay? So now we're looking at the 200. 40 do 80% of their output. Zoom in on the 40. 8 do 80% of theirs. Which means one person in 1,000-person organization is doing 25% of the total work, which is insane. It's insane, but it happens in every single organic ecosystem. So my question for you is why can't we just go hire that one person?
Right.
And the answer is you can. And do you want to know how to do that? You pay more. Winners want to win. Money's how we keep score. So and here's the best part, you actually don't have to pay that much more. How much more do you have to pay, Kasim? You have to pay 10% more than the high watermark. So to use round numbers, let's say that this role that you're hiring for pays 75 to 100 rupees, right? As an entrepreneur, you've been taught to hire people like commodities, which means you're trying to pay 74.9. Because if the window is 75 to 100, a commodity is best purchased for the low end. So all of us are trying to get pay the least to get the most. What I'm telling people is 10% more than high watermark. And so they hear that and they're like, all right, 10% more than 75. No, sir. 10% more than 100. So you're paying 110. So this is a big swing. So instead of paying 74.9, I'm asking you to pay 110, right? I'm asking you to pay significantly more than your, and honestly, even more than that. If you can pay, I like paying 3 times, 4 times, 5 times.
Like whatever the local,
dude, so like in the Philippines, back when people were hiring Filipino VAs for $500 a month, I was paying $1,500. But the applicants I got, so first of all,
top tier,
bro, insane, bloodthirsty, deadly assassins run through walls, dig tunnels, go. Bro, I can't even begin to tell you, Mark, how amazing these humans were, because I was the first person that wasn't trying to bleed them dry in this emerging world. And now what's going to happen is you're going to get a litany of more applications you know what to do with. This is why I'm giving you the book, because the book includes all the templates, the checklists, the downloads, everything that I use. I call them fly traps. So Mark applies for this job because he's like, dude, this guy's paying me 3 times what I can make domestically. He's offering to let me work from home. He's offering to let me work on a semi-flexible schedule, and he's giving me real meaningful work. So I don't staff for grunt work. I don't say 500 cold calls, this horrible data entry job, because what human can do that? And it's not that they don't take out the trash. There's some bullshit work sprinkled within there, but it's a real job. You're going to get thousands of applicants, literally thousands of applicants. Here's what you do. Your job description at the very top of it's going to say, when you apply, the subject line needs to read, I actually read the instructions, which is a not so subtle signal to actually read the instructions. If the subject line doesn't read that, it doesn't even land in the inbox. We have automation that filters it out. Once they apply, then we have 6, sometimes 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 9, very specific, but not impossibly hard tasks that they have to accomplish. For instance, take this personality quiz. Answer this question. If you were an animal, what animal would you be and why? Send me a link to your resume in a PDF format with this naming convention. Do I care that it's a link and not an attachment? No. Do I care about PDF and not Word? No. Do I care about the naming convention? No. I want to know that you can slow down and follow instructions. Now, when you walk through that whole process and you have that mini fly traps. You're going to have a lot of people caught up in the fly trap, but you'll still have people make it through. And you want to make sure that if they're remote, they're following instructions and they're actually doing the thing that you need them to do. And then I say, hey, Mark, thank you so much for applying and following my instructions. I really appreciate you. I've done enough. Now, we're taught to hire off of resumes and interviews, which are bullshit because they tell you nothing.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, I've hired for 20 years, and I know that resumes and interviews tell me nothing until we've worked together. So I'd like to pay you in advance for a trial project. If you, and depending on where you are, you want to make sure that it's worth their time, but you don't need to make them rich. So if you're in the Philippines, for instance, $15 an hour is great. So I'll give you $30 for 2 hours of work. If you agree, send me your PayPal. Here's this trick. Ready? They send me the PayPal. I send them the $30. I don't send them the trial project. And now if you do that with, I don't know what, 20 people, let's say you have a short list of 20 people whose formatting you like, you followed all the instructions, you're going to spend $600. And you're like, Kasim, $600. Oh my golly. How much does a bad hire cost you? When I send them the money and I don't send them the trial project, I wait to see who follows up. I'll get people who follow up a week or two later who are like, hey, you sent me money and you never sent me a trial project. I'm like, yeah, and thank God I didn't hire you. They're on their best behavior. This is the best they're ever going to be.
Right.
I have people ghost me for $30. I'm glad I know that I didn't hire somebody that's a piece of shit that's going to steal money from me. The people that follow up, I send them the trial project, but then I'll do things like the trial project's always related to the role. So a graphic designer gets a design project, a client manager gets a management project, a financier gets a finance project, and I make them hard. I don't say, check the box, follow the instructions. I'm like, here's a problem, solve it. And I'll do things like, in order to solve the problem, you have to log into this Dropbox account. I'll send them a username and password. And then I'll say, Mark, based off of the scope of work, when do you think this is going to be done by? Never give them a deadline because you want to know this person can manage themselves and manage timelines. So it's Monday and you say, it's going to be done by Friday. Great. Excited to hear from you. Have a project that forces them to communicate, ask questions, be iterative. 1, because you want to see how they manage themselves and manage work. 2, I'll do things like I'll say, okay, in order to download all the assets you need for the project, here's a Dropbox account. I'll send them the wrong username and password. Because now I want to see how long does it take. If you told me on Monday it's going to be done on Friday and Thursday night I get a frantic email saying the password doesn't work, now I know you waited all week. By the time you're done, and I have 1,000 fly traps, they're all in my book, and you should develop your own. I'll do things like if I'm hiring for a salesperson, I'll have them, once they go through the trial project, I'll have them schedule time with me for the interview and then ghost them, not show up for the interview. And then see how they handle that. Because if you're in sales, you're going to get ghosted all the freaking time. I have people that just never follow up with me. I've had somebody curse me out before. Like, and these are the things. Like, what is hard about this job? What makes people fail? Build that into the process. By the time, you can automate 95% of this. By the time you actually get to interviews, they've walked through a trial project, but more important than the work, especially when you're hiring remotely, is the periphery of the work. It's all the things around. Can they manage time? Can they communicate? Are they honest? Are they integrous? Can they solve problems? So it's the work within the work that you're really testing for. When you get to the end, if their trial project's good, hire them. Still do the interview because you don't want them to feel overly entitled. But dude, it's not uncommon for me to hire 2 or 3 people when I'm hiring for one role, especially if I'm on a growth path, because I find these, and Mark, I hate to sound so arrogant. This process, dude, it's perfect. And it's not mine. I've cobbled it together over 20 years, but everybody else is digging at the bottom of the barrel, trying to just squeeze people down as much as they can. Read these job descriptions. You must comply with all rules, regulations. You know what I mean? Like clock in, clock out, screenshot your desktops. Screw all that. Give people money. Give people so much money that they never have to worry about money. And watch what happens. Entrepreneurs don't understand the employee mentality. We're built differently. We have different minds. You know, Douglas Brackman wrote this book called Driven. It's what we named our mastermind after. He talks about how there's actually an epigenetic difference between entrepreneurs. He calls them hunters, the hunter brain and the farmer brain. You and I, as entrepreneurs, experience dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine in pursuit of a goal. That's the hunter brain, and it's less than 10% of the human population. Most people experience those things when they've accomplished a goal. If you take the concern of money off of the table for an employee, they thrive, dude. They flourish. You and I, we want to chase it. We want to hunt. We want to kill. You know what I mean? Like, but gosh, if you can put people in an environment where money is no longer a problem, and preferably your incentives are aligned. I built the #1 ranked Google Ads agency in the world. I've never run a Google campaign myself end to end in my life. I wouldn't know how to. I had the highest performing real estate investment campaign on the planet before I was ever a real estate investor or know anything about lead generation. I own the largest Montessori community in the world. I'm not a trained Montessorian. I didn't go to Montessori school. I have a 10th grade education. There's no industry I can't conquer because I know I can find the people. And the people are so readily accessible. And God forgive me for saying, they cost you a pittance.
Right.
Cost you a piston. Pay a Colombian $3,000 and see what happens. Somebody in Bogota, Colombia, who's making top side $500, $600, $700 USD, working at a call center, which you and I have done and know is the modern day sweatshop.
Yeah.
Pay them $3,000. And dude, you will find something that American employers aren't accustomed to, which is gratitude. And they really will. I've never seen this type of labor class until I went international. And it's not just, I really like Latin America because they're on our time zones. They have accessible accents, English proficiency is high, cultural alignment, same religion, generally speaking. So you're not worried about like, dude, I love the Indians. I had 40 Indian employees when we sold Solutions 8. The Indian subcontinent has so many freaking holidays. You know what I mean? Because they celebrate all of them, and they're all just as important as the next. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that was the thing is I had an agency I was working with, and I was always getting these emails like, "Hey, we're in observance of this holiday. We're gonna not be."
And they're Christian, and they're Muslim, and they're Jew, and they're Hindu, and I'm like, you have to pick one. You pick. You know what I mean? Like, but they celebrate each other's, and it cross pollinates. My father's Pakistani. I'm allowed to say this. So and not just like depending on the specific
I hear you saying,
that you're looking for. Yeah, but I love Latin America for that reason. And dude, if you do it my way, if you follow my model,
I hear what you're saying. This sounds like you got me on the hook. All right. I mean, I'm like, okay, this sounds great, and I'm gonna give this another shot. This, I've tried 3 times, and it's just always been a flop. But I've never had this in depth of, and everything you're saying makes sense to me 100%. I think obviously the cream rises to the top, and if you find somebody who's at that level, I mean, that would be a freaking dream employee to have. Here in the States, if you had someone who was like always on time and going above and beyond and looking for ways to solve problems and happy about their work, and then again you feel like because they're so appreciative, you feel like, wow, I feel like I'm like making a real impact in someone's life.
An anthropological impact to what we're doing here. Imagine if you let I was raised by a single mom. If you let a single mom work from home on a semi-flexible schedule and pay her more than they'll ever make domestically, when mom's at home, statistically speaking, drug use declines, teen pregnancy declines, school dropout rates decline. You change the world. I get a message once a week in Slack saying, I get a message from a guy who's living in the first house he's ever lived in. Another guy finally, for the first time in his professional life, got to take a week off and go on tour with his band. Like, you're changing people's lives, and I'm not Mother Teresa, dude. I'm making a boatload of money, but it feels good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like money that feels good.
Yeah. So when was this, when did you first start into getting this idea, or when did you first start doing these overseas hires?
I started outsourcing right out of the gate. So I started my business as 19. That was KPO Global, Knowledge Process Outsourcing, this goes back to the 100 different businesses I told you about, like medical transcription, legal transcription, software engineering. All I would do is I'd go sell people on something or figure out, like you said, say yes to everything. I would get a client and then I'd farm it off to Pakistan, because I had a cousin in Pakistan who was a bold-faced liar just like me, and he kept telling me he could do these things. And I'm like, bro, do you know software? And he's like, yeah. Of course I do, yeah. And so I'd send it to him, and he sucked. And that was our non-symbiotic relationship. And so I started to realize I just need to find, because we would try to do legal transcription and we would suck and the client would fall apart and they'd want their money back. And then we try to do medical transcription, and then and then I was like, you know what I need? I just need to solve for the fulfillment. So I started to just look for the best. I'd be like, in Pakistan though, the best software engineer in Pakistan. I found a woman, her name was Shamim Rajani. She owns Genetech Solutions. She was my vendor for 20 years. She's still around. Brilliant human.
Wow.
And what's cool about the best in Pakistan is it's still cheap. So I just went and found the best, and I realized, if I'm confident about fulfillment, the money that I take, I get to keep.
Right.
And that was such an eye-opening thing, especially for a pathological liar, that, when I finally flipped around to tell them the truth about things,
I don't have to lie anymore.
I don't have to lie anymore.
I can say we can do a good job.
I can't believe nobody told me this. Why isn't this in the Bible? Yeah.
That's awesome. So that's really that's exciting. I mean, and then as far as having a company that helps, because one of the things you do, right, is you have an agency that helps find overseas talent, right?
Yeah. So we train and staff executive assistants exclusively. We won't staff for grunt work. It takes 1,000. This is a true statistic. It takes 1,000 applicants to produce one EA at Pareto Talent. And we place them preferably with entrepreneurs, overwhelmed entrepreneurs. We'll place them with some executives, middle managers, et cetera. But entrepreneurs are where my heart is. And we're approaching 100 placed EAs. And I think we have the best. We maintain the employer of record. So we manage all of the HR stuff. We make sure they get paid. We deal with currency fluctuations, but we continue to train them. We put them in an EA mastermind. So it's cool because if you hire an EA, and let's say tomorrow you're like, hey, I want to publish a book, or I want to build a new website, or I want to change my ERP system. If they don't know how to do that, they get to go to the mastermind and be like, hey guys, Mark just told me to do this thing I've never done before. And bet money there's 1 or 2 EAs who are like, oh no, here's I've done this and here's how that works. Or they can at least get them a little bit closer. So it's been unbelievably potent. I'm really excited about it, and we're growing at a breakneck pace. My rate limiting step is Latin America. They're not breeding fast enough. If you have a model where it takes 1,000 applicants to produce 1 EA, I run out of EAs pretty quickly. So we're trying to figure out how to fix that and solve for a little bit more scale. But it's been really fulfilling.
How do you think your leadership style has kind of evolved? From your first hire to managing large distributed teams?
What's funny, man, is I don't lead. And I don't mean for that to be a dismissive comment.
Yeah.
I don't hire people that need to be led. If you need to be led, you're in the wrong place. And it's not that those people are bad people at all, but I just don't have time for it. So maybe I lead by example. I think I try to do the things that I expect of others. And it's sort of like, hey, welcome aboard if you're willing to pull your own weight. And if you're not, this isn't the place for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're kind of building that culture of like
self-sufficiency,
proactive. Yeah.
But I've told my EAs, especially in the world of AI, I think that people are more important now with AI because it's like every employee becomes nuclear powered. So you have to make sure you have amazing employees.
Right.
But if you are the prompted, you're out of a job. You need to be the prompter. If you're the one coming up with the ideas, saying, here's what we should do, creating the task, identifying the problem, you'll be employed for the rest of your life, guaranteed. If you're just sitting around waiting, hope my boss gives me something to do today, it's over for you. It's forced obsolescence. And so, my EAs need to get proactive enough. Not everybody can do this, dude, but they need to get proactive enough to where they're the ones figuring out, like, hey, Mark, I just noticed that the NAP on our business isn't correct across all directories. I'm going to go fix that with your permission. And then you're like, oh, great. Thank God you spotted that. Because here's the thing is if they wait for you to see it, AI can do that on a long enough timeline.
Right.
So, and if you're listening to this and you're not an entrepreneur, or even if you are, that's the rule for all of us. Be the prompter, not the prompted. You sit around waiting for problems to solve, you are going to end up on universal basic income. You're superfluous to the endeavor.
How have you seen AI just change your industry or even the things that you're doing? I mean, it's pretty wild. One is we got rid of 2 positions here because AI completely took them over, and one person can do both those positions like in 30 minutes, So it's kind of like, all right. So what have you seen as far as that goes? And what do you think? One of the things that I've thought about more recently is that, especially as a content agency where we're constantly creating content, and I start to see all this AI created content, I'm like, oh, I'm still in the right business because I'm creating human generated content. And I think people are going to still want to know that there's a real human being on the other side of a camera that's reviewed a product or tasted a food or done these things, and not just a robot giving its summary of the understanding of what a description is,
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think that I call it counterfeit content. I think counterfeit content is going to increase the appetite for organic content on a multi-fold level. I owned the largest Google Ads agency in the world. I sold it in October 2022. Within 9 months, 200 clients became 130 because of AI. I was just the lucky guy that let go of the hot potato right before it exploded. Had nothing.
Yeah, your valuation would have been down.
Would have been non-existent. I wouldn't have been able to sell it with that trend line. No, AI has changed everything. Here's my note to especially young entrepreneurs. Scale is bad. Scale is bad. If it scales, AI can do it. This weird obsession we have, every time I open my LinkedIn feed or my Facebook feed, it's just some idiot being like, look what AI can do. And then they have this insistence that you can now sell that to your clients. Look, I put this thing in AI and it punches out this output, and you can go sell this output to your clients. And I'm like, no, you can't. Because your clients have AI too. idiot. Obviously, right? Like, if AI can do it, it's no longer, it's not that it's not valuable, it's that it's not profitable. The real question that we should all be asking ourselves is, what can AI not do?
Right.
Lean into the lack of scale. And you're not going to like the answer if you really start thinking it through. For instance, answer your damn phones. Manual outreach, a podcast like this. All the things that don't scale have just become the most valuable facets of all business. When I call a company and I get a real human on the other end, dude, there's this moment of just like, oh, thank God. And if I can understand them and they speak accessible English, like, take my money, whatever it is that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do all the things that don't scale, follow up with people, build relationships, invest in community. That's the way to build real businesses. I have never seen a more potent ecosystem in my entire life. I'm so excited from an entrepreneurial perspective, because it's just like, dude, I'm a kid in a candy store and I'm watching some of my friends melt. People that I have been, one of my very close friends, I don't know if he'd want me to say his name. He created a category of marketing that everybody knows and everybody's participated in. I did all of his ad spend. He'd spend $6 to $7 to $8 million per launch, and he did multiple launches a month. Crushed life, minted money. I bet you he approached $100 million a year towards the end. He doesn't do it anymore. I was just on the phone with him the other day, and he was like, yeah, dude, I'm doing financial advising. Swear to God. Because the thing that he was doing scaled to a point to where AI just does it now. And he's a name you'd know. And there's a bunch of them like that.
Yeah.
You know,
do you think that, I mean, especially with digital advertising, I feel like that is ripe for AI
disruption.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I own AEO.co. Most people don't know this, but SEO it's obsolete. I bought my kids, each of my sons, I bought them a Chromebook because I want them to start a YouTube channel. And when you take a Chromebook out of the box and you start a new Google account, Chrome is still the default search engine, obviously. But there's default search isn't search. Google search is not default. AI answers are. Which is an entirely different paradigm. It's not, people think like, oh, that's the same thing. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I can prove it. I have more data. I have 5 employees that do nothing but check out LLM source citations. And they've been doing that for 10 months. We can do a whole podcast on that if you want to. And I can tell you what moves the needle for AEO is not what moves the needle for SEO. The single most important key performance indicator from an AEO perspective is schema markup, where for SEO it's link building. And Gemini doesn't use Google Search Graph the way that ChatGPT uses Google Search Graph, Perplexity uses Google Search Graph. Gemini is building its own knowledge graph from the ground up. So
interesting.
Answer Engine is gonna usurp Search Engine, and billions of dollars of search equity is just gonna go away. 60% of all searches now result in 0-click. 60%.
That's, yeah.
But that's not to say they're not commercial. That's just to say that the commerce is taking place independent of the click.
Right.
So
well, and that's the one thing I've been kind of trying to tell clients, like, especially one of the reasons why I love podcasting as a format is because one is it allows you to create a lot of different content over a lot of different, fields. But then also you're putting your content on YouTube, and it's the place that AI is looking at to serve up, search results,
YouTube is the second most cited network. I can show you, dude. I've got all the data on this. So you know what's the most important website on the internet right now? It's going to blow your mind.
What is it?
Reddit.
Reddit?
Yeah. So there's this study that's done. Do you use the video here or just the audio?
No, we use the video.
Okay, that's great. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
All right, check this out. If you're listening, I'll do my best to describe what we're about to see.
In a world where only one man survives.
So the number one cited website, this is a study from Profound. They looked at 10 million citations in Google's AI overviews. Reddit was the number one cited website. YouTube was number 2. Here's why this is crazy. This is Google's AI overviews. Google owns YouTube. Google does not own Reddit. And yet 1 out of 5 citations, 1 out of 5
That's
citations.
Crazy.
And remember, dude, YouTube is 20 times the size of Reddit. 20 times the size of Reddit.
Right.
And yet Reddit gets 20% of citations is going to Reddit, which I'm not here to espouse Reddit. Really, if you dig into it a little bit further and you think about, you reverse engineer why that might be, LLMs are trying to replicate human behavior. How would you do that? You would need an ecosystem that would allow for hierarchically identified authority, which would mean I'm Mark, I'm a content agency, I'm actually really good at content, and you know that because my karma score is high because other people have said Mark's good at content. So then Mark says this thing about content and the LLM goes, oh, that must be trustworthy. Where else can you go for that but Reddit? And so that type of social signaling, and they're getting really good at social signaling. When people say, the way that we used to do link building for SEO, we're going to be doing social signaling now. Right. And if you can get a mom who has a kid with autism to comment on your TikTok video saying, oh, this really helped my son, the LLM's going to be like, oh, that's good for kids with autism. It's not guest blogging any longer. Right. It's authority. It's multimodal content. It's doing stuff like this. Yeah. And it's breaking up in ways that allow the LLMs to triangulate, and then making sure that you're visible using things like schema markup.
Yeah, that's cool. Crazy. That's cool, man. Well, I got a question. Are you married, have kids?
I'm divorced recently. We got divorced in August of 2024. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I never thought I'd be a divorced person, dude. That was weird. I was married for 13 years. I have 2 little boys, 8 and 10. They're here now.
Okay.
They're roaming the halls of the house, trying to be quiet because they know daddy's on a podcast. So
how have you managed being an entrepreneur, running businesses? Like, do you find, like, what advice can you give people, you know?
Go join Front Row Dads. If you're a dad, there's a group called Front Row Dads. It's run by a guy named John Vroman. I'm not an affiliate, but it's the best thing I've ever done for myself, personally and professionally. And his whole shtick is we're family men with businesses, not businessmen with families.
Yeah.
And if you're a dad, women do a really good job surrounding themselves with community, generally speaking. And there's a $1 trillion industry built around exactly that, helping women be moms, be caregivers, be whatever. Dads have, I don't know about you, dude, but very little in the way of support.
Well, there's like a whole layer too of like, not only am I, a dad, I'm married. Thankfully, I'm going on 21 years this October.
Congrats.
But then there's a whole nother layer, and we talk about this on the show a lot. It's like being an entrepreneur, it's like a different pressure and a different, it's hard to relate. Like my friends who, they're awesome people. I love them. They clock in, they clock out. It's like, my boss is, my bonus is getting delayed and, whatever it might be. And I'm always like, I'm so sorry, and it's just like, it's a whole nother thing. It's like, why had to like lay off somebody today? Or like, we just lost a massive client. I got to figure out how to like, rearrange things to like make payroll. Like, it's just a whole different level of, stress and, pressure than the average, guy.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard to connect with people out there like that. All right, dude. Well, listen, I just can't thank you enough for hanging out with me. This has been an awesome conversation. It's been super enjoyable and very informative and educational and inspiring. What would you say is the best place for people to connect with you if they want to find out more what you're doing and, get some Kasim time?
They can go to kasim.me, kasim.me. They can get the book for free there. I've got links to all the stuff I'm up to. And I appreciate having me on, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. And I always love to leave people to say, all right, starting next week on Monday, start doing this one thing. What is that thing that you would say, Monday morning, wake up and do this?
Meditate.
Okay.
Yeah, go read Joe Dispenza. I think it might be the most important thing you can do for your health, your life, your future. Yeah, I buy into all that hardcore. He's got so much data on it too. It's unreal. You can reconfigure your chemical makeup through meditation.
All right. Meditate. All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for listening to The Friday Habit. If you go to thefridayhabit.com, you can find show notes for this episode and ways to get in touch. In the bottom of the page, you can download our guide to the Friday Habit system. It's going to help you set aside one full day dedicated working on your business instead of always in your business. You can reach us at hello@thefridayhabit.com. And until next time, remember, live every day like it's Friday.